Welcome to Boomstick Gaming, this is Alex, and let's talk about the beat-em-up genre, but to be more specific, Streets of Rage 4. I'm not one to immediately just love any beat-em-up style game that comes out, because I find the genre to be a really tricky balance between feeling too mindless and button mashy, and the opposite, feeling too slow and archaic just trying to bank on nostalgia. However, as someone who never dabbled in the original Streets of Rage, growing up more on the NES Turtles games instead, I actually found this to be one of the most surprising beat-em-ups in quite a while, so let's take a look at how Streets of Rage 4 absolutely crushes this sometimes hit-and-miss genre. Initially, when first booting up Streets of Rage 4, it honestly feels somewhat sluggish in the movement department, but you grow to appreciate the more methodical pace, which really puts an emphasis on nailing those structured combos, not too dissimilar to a traditional fighting game, just without all the complex inputs. Juggling and pulling off longer strings does not just happen randomly most often, and like I mentioned before, unlike other entries in this genre that turn you into a blur of easy-to-nail combos, here in Streets of Rage 4, they feel absolutely earned and powerful, which makes them all the more rewarding when you actually nail them. This is also further bolstered by the added layer of mechanical depth on how your life-draining special moves factor into this. In beat-em-ups, I never really liked the concept of life-draining special moves, but here it works out perfectly by allowing you to regain that health if you manage to perform enough damage without taking a single hit, adding that perfect risk-reward element to your heavier hitting attacks. I always was a big fan of the health regain mechanic in Bloodborne, and in here, just like that, this one simple gameplay system greatly encourages and rewards tactical aggressive play, which is exactly how I like to approach most games, half carefree, half berserk. All the fundamentals of the combat system in Streets of Rage 4 are easy to initially grasp if you want to invite in a more casual gamer to help you out in co-op, but it also leaves a fairly high skill ceiling in place for those who want to truly master it, which is almost all but required if you want to take on the higher difficulties, because the game is actually quite challenging thanks to no checkpoints and a limited lives system per level. Each character in Streets of Rage 4 feels quite different from each other, with some being very slow but with greater reach on their attacks, while others can zip around the battlefield but risk having to get more up close and personal with the opposition. Every character feels viable, but also catered to a certain playstyle, and finding the right one for how you play is a fun learning experience as you try to survive through these fairly brutal fisticuff gauntlets. In terms of multiplayer, it's always nice to see a modern beat-em-up have online and couch co-op play straight from the start, which should be a genre must from this point forward. Also, the PvP battle mode was actually a lot more fun and less of a throwaway mode than I thought it would be, providing a fairly solid fighter that puts a large emphasis on spacing and mind games, while also requiring you to really hit those combos when you do find an opening. Overall, I can't compare this to how it improves over the original Streets of Rage games. However, I can compare it to the nearly hundreds of beat-em-ups I have dabbled in throughout my hardcore gaming years, and can definitely say that this one specifically marks a very special moment for this genre. Streets of Rage 4 puts its faith in its players, presenting a hard but fair campaign, and gives them all the gameplay tools they'll need to succeed, but it's up to them to learn how to put them to good use. And with that, those are my thoughts on Streets of Rage 4. Maybe your opinion differs, maybe you agree, but either way, let me know what you think of the game if you happen to pick it up. If you enjoy my style of gaming coverage with a focus on gameplay mechanics and systems, consider subscribing to Boomstick Gaming for more, ringing that little bell icon if you already are, and you can also find me over on Twitter at BoomstickAlex. Lastly, a big mention to these top tier YouTube members and patrons who help me to make improvements to this channel for everyone watching. As always, this has been Alex from Boomstick Gaming, and thanks for watching.